Hello friends, welcome to a new episode of Drishti IAS Editorial Analysis. In this editorial analysis, we do three things. First of all, we link the editorial to the UPSC syllabus. Secondly, we try to understand the key points of the editorial. And thirdly, if any key concepts have come in the editorial and are important from exam point of view, we also discuss them. So let us begin today's editorial analysis.
Dear viewer, this video is available in Hindi as well. If you wish to watch it, please visit our Hindi YouTube channel, Drishti IAS. For your convenience, the link for this video in Hindi has been provided in the description below.
We have taken today's editorial from the Hindu and it has come on 7th of August. The title of the editorial is Cartographic Challenge and it says that Pakistan's new map is intended to provoke India and to internationalize the border dispute between the two countries. So now let us look at its linkage with the syllabus. So we find that it links directly with GS paper 2 where we have international relations, and under this it links directly with India and its neighborhood. As in this editorial, we will be discussing India-Pakistan relations and the territorial disputes between the two countries and how they will be impacted by Pakistan coming up with a new map. So after establishing the linkage with the syllabus, now let us look at the key points of the editorial. So before moving on to the key points of the editorial, let us understand what the issue is all about. So Pakistan has recently released a new political map, and this has become controversial because many territories which are under the possession of India have been shown as part of Pakistan in its new map. And the genesis of this issue can be traced back to August 2019 when India revoked the special status of Jammu and Kashmir and bifurcated the state into two union territories of Jammu and Kashmir and of Ladakh. And a new political map was released by Government of India in November 2019. Here we can see the new map that was released. And the union territory of Ladakh included the portion which is under illegal occupation of Pakistan, which is Gilgit and Baltistan. And also in the UT of Jammu and Kashmir, it included the part of Kashmir which is under illegal occupation of Pakistan and known as Pakistan occupied Kashmir. And when India had released this map, three countries had protested. Pakistan for obvious reasons, because the status of Jammu and Kashmir was changed by India. And China also protested because in this map, Aksai chain, which is in possession of China, was shown as part of the Union Territory of Ladakh. So China also protested. And protest was also made by Nepal over the Kalapani region, which is disputed between India and Nepal. Nepal has also gone ahead and released a new political map which shows the area which is in Indian possession as part of Nepal. And now Pakistan has also released a new map which shows territory which is very much under the possession of India as part of Pakistan. And Pakistan's territorial claim through this new map has been dismissed by India as an exercise in political absurdity because the claims are so wild and unreasonable. Pakistan's map includes whole of Jammu and Kashmir and describes it as Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir and a disputed territory. The boundary of Himachal Pradesh has been depicted as international border. And more importantly, keeping in mind China's sensitivities, the Pakistani map does not depict the Ladakh region and just writes that the frontier is undefined. Also, the map is depicting Junagadh, which was a former princely state and now very much in Indian Gujarat, as part of Pakistan. Now let us look at the map which has been released by Pakistan. So on the left we have the earlier map of Pakistan which shows its provinces such as Balochistan, Sindh, Punjab, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Gilgit-Baltistan and Azad Kashmir. Whereas the new map that has been released by Pakistan, it includes almost the whole of Jammu and Kashmir but leaves out the Ladakh region as undefined. keeping in view the Chinese sensitivities. Also, this map includes the Sir Creek area, which is under dispute between Pakistan and India. That has been now included in this map as part of Pakistan. Also, Siachen Glacier has been included as part of Pakistan. And Pakistan has not stopped there. It has also included Junagadh as part of Pakistan, which is towards the southern portion of Gujarat. In this inset map of Gujarat, we can see more clearly that what Pakistan is claiming as its territory, which is the former princely state of Junagadh, and it doesn't share any land border with Pakistan. And here in this map we can see the Sir Creek area. Now the Sir Creek is a narrow water body, and India's claim is that the border should be from the middle of the channel, whereas Pakistan claims that the border should be on the eastern bank, which is shown by this green line. We will see the Sir Creek dispute and the Junagadh issue in more detail in the key concept section. Now with this background, let us move to the key points of the editorial. So the editorial says that the Pakistan's new map is aimed at provoking India and also to internationalize the border dispute between the two countries. The Ministry of External Affairs has accused Pakistan of attempting a form of territorial aggrandizement supported by cross-border terrorism, and also termed this exercise of releasing a new political map by Pakistan as an exercise in political absurdity. The editorial further says that Pakistan's decision to issue the map seems to be motivated by the events of August 5, 2019, when India had changed the status of Jammu and Kashmir and released new political maps, which showed the entire Jammu and Kashmir as part of India. And the new map, which has now been issued by Pakistan, lays claim to all of Jammu and Kashmir, and it also draws a line demarcating Gilgit-Baltistan separately from the part of Kashmir under its control, which is known as Pakistan occupied Kashmir. Also, it has renamed Jammu and Kashmir as Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir in the new map. Furthermore, it has left the claim line with the Ladakh unclear, and this shows the close ties between Pakistan and China. Because India and China are contesting the boundary in Ladakh, that is why Pakistan has left this area of the border undefined. And the editorial says that the Pakistan's claim to all of Jammu and Kashmir but not Ladakh goes against its own commitment to adjudicate the future of all 6 parts of the erstwhile royal state of Jammu and Kashmir. And we should know these 6 parts. 1 is Jammu, 2nd is Kashmir, 3rd is Ladakh, 4th is Gilgit-Baltistan, 5th is Pakistan occupied Kashmir, and 6th is Aksai Chin, which is under the occupation of China. Also, the editorial says that the claims of Pakistan over Siachen and Sir Creek have been subject of several discussions between the two countries, and now Pakistan unilaterally claiming both these areas as part of its own territory are going to make the resolution of these disputes more and more difficult. And the editorial says that while both sides were not able to move forward in resolving the Siachen issue, but the Sir Creek agreement had made considerable progress and was reportedly on the verge of resolution and was just awaiting a political announcement in 2007. But since then, the relations between the two countries have been on a downward slide. But there is no doubt that both these areas were disputed areas, and now Pakistan's unilateral claim over them is not going to be helpful or conducive to future resolution of these disputes. But the most surprising is the move by Pakistan on Junagadh, which was a former princely state and whose accession to India was accepted by Pakistan, because it opens up a whole new dispute. And here 2 points are worth noting. One is that Junagadh was in contention at the time of partition because the ruler of Junagadh wanted to accede to Pakistan, while the majority population wanted to remain with India. And secondly, the issue was successfully resolved through a referendum which was conducted on February 1948, and in which an overwhelming 95% of the state's residents voted to stay with India. And that was accepted by Pakistan as well. So now Pakistan breaking up the issue of Junagadh once again is very much surprising. Further, the editorial talks about the options available to India, and it says that as India considers its next moves on this provocative action by Pakistan, it should be prepared for Pakistan taking all the issues it has raised with its new map at the international stage. And this goes against the Shimla Agreement, where both the countries had decided that all their disputes will be resolved bilaterally. That India is also facing map-related issues with two other countries. One is China at the line of actual control, especially in Ladakh, where both India and China have a different perception of from where the line of actual control actually passes. And the second is with Nepal at Kalapani and Limpiadhura. And in this case also, Nepal's government has unilaterally issued a new map which shows the disputed territory as part of Nepal. And the editorial finally says that surely all this is no coincidence that all these three countries have objected to the map India had issued in November 2019, although the reasons for their dispute with India seem to be different. And now India must be well prepared to deal with the three-pronged cartographic challenge it will face in the coming months. So this was all in the key points of the editorial. Now let us look at the key concepts. In the key concept section, we'll be looking at Sir Creek dispute and the Junagadh issue. So Sir Creek is a 96 km long strip of water which is disputed between India and Pakistan, and its location is in the Rann of Kutch marshlands. And the dispute basically lies in the interpretation of the maritime boundary that lies between Kutch and Sindh. Pakistan's claim is that the line should follow the eastern bank of the estuary, while India claims a center line. And this difference arises from the interpretation of paragraph 9 and 10 of the Bombay Government Resolution of 1914, which was signed between the then government of Sindh and the Rao Maharaj of Kutch. And India's position on this dispute is that Sir Creek should be divided between the two countries according to the Thalweg principle. And what is this Thalweg principle? So under international law, a Thalweg is the middle of the primary navigable channel of a waterway that defines the boundary line between two states. And here we should also note that Sir Creek area by itself is not of much importance to both India and Pakistan. But the way this boundary will be demarcated, it will determine the maritime boundary between the two countries in the Arabian Sea, and that area seems to have lot of natural resources. So if the boundary passes through the middle of the channel, then India will have more area, whereas if the border passes through the eastern bank, then the area for Pakistan will be greater, and that is where the dispute lies. Now let us look at the Junagadh issue. So Junagadh was a princely state situated on the southwestern end of Gujarat, and it did not join the Indian Union by August 15, 1947. And the demography of Junagadh was such that it was having a large Hindu population, but the ruler was a Muslim, Nawab Muhammad Mahatab Khanji III. And on September 15, 1947, Nawab Mahabat Khanji chose to accede to Pakistan, ignoring Lord Mountbatten's views and arguing that Junagadh adjoined Pakistan by sea because it was sharing no land border with Pakistan. And there were two smaller states which were under the suzerainty of Junagadh. That means they were protectorate of Junagadh. That is, their foreign policy and relations with other powers were determined by Junagadh. And these were Mangrol and Babariya Ward. and these two states declared their independence from Junagadh and acceded to India. And in response to this, the Nawab of Junagadh militarily occupied the two states, but the ruler of other neighboring states reacted angrily and they sent their troops to the Junagadh frontier and also appealed to the government of India for assistance. Indian government believed that if Junagadh was permitted to accede to Pakistan, communal tension which was already simmering in Gujarat would worsen, and therefore it refused to accept the Nawab's choice of accession to Pakistan. Also, the Indian government pointed out that the state was 80% Hindu and called for a plebiscite to decide the question of accession. Pakistan also agreed to a plebiscite subject to the withdrawal of Indian troops, but this condition was rejected by India. And on 26 November 1947, the Nawab and his family fled to Pakistan following clashes with Indian troops. And on November 7, 1947, Junagadh's court, which was facing collapse, invited the government of India to take over the state's administration. And here we should note that the Diwan of Junagadh at that time was Sri Shah Nawaz Bhutto, father of the more famous Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, who became Prime Minister of Pakistan. And finally, a plebiscite was conducted in Junagadh in February 1948 and which went unanimously in favor of accession to India. And therefore Junagadh became a part of the Indian state of Saurashtra, and it remained so until November 1, 1956, when Saurashtra became part of Bombay state. And in 1960, Bombay state was again split into linguistic states of Maharashtra and Gujarat, and Junagadh became part of Gujarat. So Junagadh is now very much part of India, and Pakistan raising the Junagadh issue at this point is highly unreasonable. Now let us look at the kind of questions that can be asked in prelims and mains. So in prelims, one can be asked about location of various places such as Siachen Glacier, Sir Creek, Junagadh, Gilgit-Baltistan. So one should be clear about their location on map. Also one should be clear about the Radcliffe Line, McMahon Line, Durand Line, line of control and line of actual control. So Radcliffe Line is basically the line which separates the border between India and Pakistan. McMahon Line demarcates the border between Northeast India and Tibet, whereas Durand Line is the border between Afghanistan and Pakistan. Line of control is the border between India and Pakistan in Jammu and Kashmir, and line of actual control is between India and China. So this we should be knowing. In mains, the question can be asked about India-Pakistan relations and what will be the impact of these revised maps on India-Pakistan relations, which are already quite strained. Also, another question can be asked about the various challenges that India is facing in the border issues with Nepal, with China and with Pakistan. So we should be prepared on these kind of questions. So this was all in today's editorial analysis. We'll see you next time with another editorial. Thank you.